Welcome, Errick. First of all, congrats on your regular season performance. How are you feeling these days?
I feel good. I think we had a really good regular season. We got some things that we can learn from and build on, and I like the direction we're heading into. And we're gonna have a tough matchup, but this is why we play. This is what's gonna be fun. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. You're over 37 now, yet you're still performing at the highest level in Europe. What's your secret when it comes to longevity and taking care of the body? I mean, we once read that LeBron reportedly spends $1.5 million a year on his body, although he recently denied it. How much do you invest in yourself?
I never really kept track, but just doing little stuff like preparation before practice, making sure your body's warm, foam rolling, massages, normatecing, ice bath, icing. Anytime your body warns you, when it's feeling sore, feeling tired, it sends you a warning usually before something happens. So just listening to your body. Some of it's a lot of genetics, God-given. And then a lot of it is just like decisions you make, getting a proper rest, and making sure your body is ready to carry that load, or doing the certain things that you do. So I just always try to play hard. I have strong faith, and I just believe I'll be protected if you play hard, you play the game the right way. Usually good things will happen. So
yeah. If someone had told you back in your karşı days that you would be playing in EuroLeague playoffs just a few months later, what would you have said?
I wouldn't have believed him because I thought I would finish in Karşı. I was comfortable there. My family was comfortable. I was content. Other teams wanted me, sometimes bigger offers, but I always said no because I was happy there. As far as talent or ability, I always knew I could play at that level. I mean, if you look at what I did in Champions League, you look at what I did when we played EuroLeague teams, my performances against Efes or against Fener when I was there, I think it always showed. Karşı were in the finals one of the years I was there. So, you saw what I could do as an individual and how that translated to winning. But I think just I was at a stage in my life where, I thought that was where I was going to end my career. But life has its unexpected twists and turns. You adapt, you pivot, and, fortunately I was able to find a good situation here in Fener, and, I just try to make the most of it. I'm a guy that just enjoys playing the game, love playing the game, and, put me anywhere, I'm going to find a way to succeed. That's just who I am as a person.
Yeah. You played in the EuroLeague before, but it's going to be your first time in the playoffs. How excited are you?
For me, it's like any other game. That's how I approach it. I think when you start to look at things as more or less than something, it can affect your performance. As far as if you look at it like, oh, it's just a regular season game, then you're going to come in not with the energy and not with effort. If you look at something like, oh, it's playoffs or it's Final Four or whatever, then maybe you're too excited and you want to do too much. So I just come in and I approach it like just a normal game, and my focus and my desire remains the same, and that's kind of how I stay calm. I don't get too excited. I don't get too down. Sometimes you're going to play good, sometimes you're going to play not so good, and you just got to remain the same. But the only difference is, try to get even more rest, try to do more extra stuff for your body, and make my wife do a little bit more stuff with the kids that she already does. I get a little break, so, I try to help her, but, during the playoff time, she understands that I have to be really focused. So this is my excuse to get more sleep.
Good trick, good trick. Let's talk about the matchup. I mean, most people were expecting Madrid as your opponent because of the home court advantage also. Were you surprised to see Paris come out of in the play-in?
I was only surprised because the home court, I figured that would play a role, and then Real Madrid's experience. But, Paris' talent, their ability, they've shown that they can beat, some of the bigger clubs. They've been good on the road. Shown that throughout the year. So I thought it was a 50-50 game, but if you're a betting man, you're usually going to go with the experienced team if you look at Madrid's history, what they've done. But this is why the game is so beautiful. Anybody can be beat. The scenario can change in any second, and for me, my approach was the same. It didn't matter if it was Madrid or Paris. I played well against both those teams, so I just was ready to find out who the opponent was so I could understand the type of style that was going to be played. Look at things that I could look for offensively or defensively, and try to take advantage of.
Yeah. Errick, in both games against Paris, they seem to control the tempo for long stretches. Meanwhile, against Real, It felt like the opposite. Still, Real has that playoff experience. When you put all that on a scale, would you have preferred facing Madrid?
For me, I think I like the tempo that Paris plays with. They play fast, they play quick, it's extra possessions, it's an offensive game. So that's exciting, you know, for me. It's something that I like to do. But this is a game that will be won also with defense. And you saw that in that Madrid-Paris game. I thought it would be high scoring, but surprisingly it was very low scoring, a lot of physicality, a lot of bumping, a lot of hitting. And, you know, you started to see that, you know, you need that mix. So I think for me, I think Real Madrid has a lot of respect from the referees. You know, so it's always tough. You know, they flop a lot. It's not easy to guard them. And they have, you know, the big fella inside, you know, he kind of changes the game. So, you know, each team has their strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, TJ Shorts controls everything that they do. You know, they have two guards that can really hit some tough shots. And, you know, they can kind of put you in a tizzy with how fast they play. They can get you out of your sets or what you're trying to do because sometimes you tend to play their style of play. And I think Real Madrid fell into that trap as well. So, you know, you want to run, you want to push and transition, but you also want to do what you do. You know, don't be sped up. If it's there, take it, but don't be rushed. And I think for me, I'm okay with the Paris matchup. You know, it's a tough matchup. I think either way, you were going to have a battle, whether it was Paris or Real Madrid. But, you know, I think, you know, we went 2-0 in the regular season, and we didn't play our best. And I think if we continue to grow and learn from some of our mistakes in those games, you know, we can be in a good position.
Yeah. Errick, Coach Jasikevicius once said about you, Errick is not only great on the court, but also off the court. He's very close with his teammates and plays a key role in the locker room. How would you describe your relationship with your teammates?
I'm the oldest, so you know, based on my experiences, things I face, I try to be grounded. You know, when things are going tough for us, you know, I try to be positive. I try to bring, you know, energy, try to look at the bright side of things. You know, and when things are going great, you know, I'm just there to be along for the ride and, you know, to continue to bring that positive energy. I think also, like, I come from the same generation as Coach, so I understand how, like, coaches can be tough. They can be demanding. Sometimes they yell, they scream. You might see him animated on the sidelines. Like, it doesn't bother me, but I have seen this. This is my 15th year. I have seen it 15 years from every coach I've had, and, you know, it's how my parents are when they watch sports. So it's normal, but for, you know, maybe younger generation, you know, sometimes it's not easy for them to deal with that. And so I'm there to kind of like bridge the gap, or, you know, this is what Coach means. Focus on, you know, the message, not the delivery. You know, so sometimes, you know, he's yelling because he's passionate. You know, he wants it to get done, but, you know, what he's saying is correct. So I can kind of be that bridge, you know, for some of the younger players who maybe are used to a different, you know, type of emotion than, you know, accustomed to in their career. And I try to kind of, you know, let them see, you know, what Coach is saying, and, you know, this is what he means, this is what he's saying, and and don't take it to heart, you know. So it's a good balance, and I'm happy to fulfill my role and, you know, try to help the guys on and off the court, you know, when they see fit.
Errick, I don't mean to disrespect any of your former coaches, but do you think your career might have looked different if you would have had the chance to work with Jasikevicius earlier in your days, your career days?
You never know. I think things happen for a reason, and they happen at their time. You know, I've been blessed to play. I played at Division II NAIA school, and, you know, I played in the EuroLeague. You know, I won a Euro Cup. I played in China. You know, I've been able to, you know, change my family's life, be able to provide a life for them through the game of basketball. So for me, I'm blessed. I think, you know, it helps when you play on a team that's at the top of the EuroLeague. You know, people always know you're talented, you're good, but once they see you on the team that's winning, it makes you look even better. So, you know, I think that's the upside, you know, of playing, you know, at a Fenerbahçe or with the Sarunas, is I'm on a winning team. So now you're able to see what I can do even more. It's more publicized, but I've been pretty much dominating for 15 years everywhere I've been, statistically, individually, everything. So for me, it's no surprise. I actually do a little bit less than I normally do here because we have so many good players. I don't have
playing time because of the
yes,
break,
right? I play 17, 18 minutes. I'm used to playing like 30, and everybody asks me, how do you feel? I'm like, I play half a game. It's okay. It's easy.
Another day at the office, yeah.
And then I don't have to create as much, or, you know, I don't get double teamed. Like my whole career, I get double teamed. And so, like, for me, it's almost like less taxing and grueling on the body. I know it's EuroLeague, it's higher level, but it's easier because I have less responsibility.
Yeah. When you joined the team, especially during Wade Baldwin's absence, you took on a major offensive role. Even after he came back, you kept your rhythm. How would you describe the chemistry between the two of you?
Oh man, I love Wade. Good dude. He's athletic. He can defend. You know, he brings us a different dynamic as well. And I think when you have a team of this magnitude, you need everybody ready, everybody healthy. And I think he came back at the perfect time. You know, you see him start to hit his stride. You see him starting to get more and more comfortable. You got to remember, this is a new team for him, a new situation. And every time a new player comes, you know, your role on the court, or you know, your spaces on the court, it changes. You know, with me coming, you know, it's a shuffle. You know, you bring him back from injury, you know, it's an adjustment. And so I think now we're starting to all get used to each other. And I think you're going to see him continue to play his best basketball as the season progresses. It looks like he's in really good form right now, and I think he'll have a really good playoff, especially playing in the Paris style. You know, how they run, how they're up tempo. I think you'll really see him, you know, getting to his spots on the court and, you know, making things difficult for some of their good scores.
Let's hope so. I remember after one game, you told me that I hope when it's contract time, they still think I look young.
Yeah.
Now that the season's coming to an end. And are you hoping to sign a new deal with Fenerbahçe? Have you had any talks with the club about it?
I haven't talked with them about anything, but I just know how Europe is. And sometimes when you get older, they try to use that as leverage, but you have to look at the full picture. You know, was my performance older? My impact, was it older? My impact on winning? I think not. You know, I think if you cover up my passport age and you look at statistically what I've been able to do here as an individual player, but also my impact on the team, on winning, on offensive production, how things have been flowing. You know, guys are coming in and out, injured, healthy, not. I've been a consistent, stable force, and I think you know, that warrants, you know, an extension and you know, a solid salary. But you know, I don't worry about that. I just go play my job, and I figure if I do what I'm supposed to do, I continue to prepare, I do my job every day, somebody will want me, and then, you know, hopefully it's here. But if not, you know, every time you play, it's a chance to show yourself. It's like a job interview. So, you know, I'd like to return here, but I understand sports. I understand how things work, and if that's not the case, you know, maybe you put on a good performance and you turn ahead from another team.
Errick, your brother CJ recently said in an interview that one of his goals is to play on the same team with you in Europe someday. Is that something you talk about it often, and do you think it's realistic?
I don't think it's realistic, only because he's still like in his prime in the NBA. Like, I mean, he makes a lot of money. I mean, he probably makes as much money as like the highest EuroLeague team budget, you know, somewhere close to this. So like, so it will be very difficult. And then he still has multiple years left on his contract, and I think he'll get another extension, whether it's from New Orleans or from another team. You know, he's only 33 years old. If you use me as an example, we have similar body types. You know, he's 2 inches taller, you know, maybe 10 to 12 kilos heavier, but he's going to do the same stuff I'm doing. You know, I'm going to tell him, you know, all the tricks, all the things I use, and I think it will help extend his career to where he can play, you know, at that level. But you have 2 kids, you have a wife. It's not easy, like, to uproot everybody's life and to come to Europe when you've been in America the last 12 years playing. So I think based on his trajectory, how good he's playing, the level he's at, he'll still be able to get an NBA job, making a lot more money than Europe can pay, and also in a situation where his family is probably more comfortable, because Europe, for me and my family, is normal. We've done it 15 years. For him, it will be a whole change.
Yeah, it makes sense for him, actually.
Yeah.
Is he coming to playoffs here?
Yes, he will come.
Really?
Maybe not for Paris. I think if we're fortunate to make the Final Four, I think he will come
in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yes.
Okay. CJ, the last question. Errick, sorry. The last question. Your former team, Karşı went through a rough patch after what happened, but lately they have bounced back with 2 big wins. Do you have a message you would like to send to them?
Oh no, I'm just glad that they, you know, able to get that win, and you know, good to see them continue to strive through and, you know, find some solutions, because it was looking tough. You know, it's not easy to play as a player, or to coach, or, you know, to be on staff and to do your job when you just the future is uncertain. You know, I was happy to see that they won. I hope that they're able to find a sponsor and able to solve some of the financial difficulties. I know it's a process. You know, it will not happen in 1 year, 2 years. It will take time because, you know, it's a mess. But, you know, I wish them the best. I hope they continue to do well and to stay in the lead and strive. And I hope that they can, you know, turn the page on this chapter. And, you know, because I feel like, you know, Karşı is a big club, and, you know, they've had so much success. They've been around since 1912. And it'd be a shame to see anything, you know, happen bad to that club. So, you know, I'm rooting for them always, wishing them well, and I hope they continue to have success.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure always.
Thank you.